right. Hello and welcome everyone on YouTube. We are, as you can see, making it's a day later. I promise it's a day later. I know the timer looks the same, but it's a day later. We are here talking about the Boltor Prime Incarnon now. We got it. I said yesterday for you guys on YouTube that it seemed like it was pretty good, and it is. The Boltor Prime Incarnon is pretty good. It makes it a good weapon that you can use, and that is honestly all that we could really ask for. In terms of the Incarnon upgrades themselves, give me 1 second. Hold on. Chat, you guys got to stop. There you go. All right. In terms of the upgrades themselves, increase damage by +2 and 20% ammo efficiency for 5 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. So this ends up at 6 damage that you're going to get after 3 kills instead of 4 base damage, which you can get by default. The other option for this is definitely a consideration where if you have a channeled ability active, you get some punch through. Either one of them is a fine choice. I've gone with this one because I've included punch through in my main build anyway, so a little more damage is good. Ammo efficiency notably does not work on the Incarnon form, so you can kind of choose either one, and you're going to be fine. Otherwise, though, we have plus 60% projectile speed on the Evolution 3. I found this to be quite good. I really don't think you need extra mag size. The magazine size on here is fantastic. 60 mag size is more than enough to get a full charge. You have to reload very infrequently. So projectile speed is great here, and it also means I don't run this in my Excellus slot, but that's also an option if you do want a little bit more mag size, but it really doesn't matter. And then at the end here, we have critical chance by 10% and status chance by 10%. It's worth noting that one of the options for this evolution is just 10% status chance, which is just this, but without the critical chance. If you're wondering why that exists, it's because the Telos Boltor exists, and for that weapon, it has very much less status than it does crit stats, so it might actually choose that. That's why it's there. It's just for other variants of the weapon. And then the other one with just raw crit, I don't think is as good because this turns into a shotgun, so status becomes much better whenever you are adding it on, giving us 56% status per projectile, 102 crit, and so on whenever we're in our Incarnate form. As for the build, it is this. So I have not filled the Excellus slot just because it feels wholly unnecessary. This, unlike the Strun Incarnon, doesn't seem like it's going to be a take over the world, one of the best guns in the game. It just seems like it's going to be really good. And that you'll use it whenever it comes up in Duviri and if there's other situations that call for it. So I haven't opted to put the 2 additional forma in that it would take in order to go ahead and put in the terminal velocity, the projectile speed over here, and then switch that one to more magazine size, because I honestly don't think it's going to really make much difference. You could also go ahead and put in Vigilante supplies if you wanted to. This would only be 1 more forma. And you're not, the ammo efficiency of this weapon is incredible, so you're not really getting anything from the top of this. You're just getting the 5% chance to enhance your critical hits from primary weapons. So realistically, it's a little bit more damage, but again, it doesn't really matter. It's a very, very minimal edge that you're going to get one way or another, and it's going to cost you just a bunch of forma in the end to do that. So I just wouldn't even advise it. It is more than good here as it stands on this build. With that, I'm gonna let chat be turned back on, so they're back now. So you can see everything. So this turns into a big old shotgun. Is basically the TLDR is that this thing turns into a big old shotgun, and it's a fully automatic. It basically kind of is like a comb. It's very fast to charge up on enemies that can survive it, and then it does this. It procs a lot of slash. We're using HM and everything else, of course, and it just yeah. Once you're stacked up with your Merciless and everything like that, it will just shred through enemies very, very quickly. Whoops. Didn't notice these guys got around behind me. Yeah, even at range here, you can see, yeah, just real quickly. But yeah, it is very high quality in terms of just being a fully automatic shotgun. Of course, I have included Prime Shred on here. That is why the fire rate is so incredible, and why the punch through is so important, is because this is not an AoE weapon. And it not being an AoE weapon is why we get to use the galvanized mod for the base damage increase. It is worth noting that for some other options on here, if you don't want to go Prime Shred, or if you don't have Prime Shred, you can go with the first evolution that gives punch through if you're using a channeled ability in order to get that punch through. Prime Shred could be a bane. You could go Galvanized Scope, which is not a horrible option, especially if we're going to be ADS all the time. There's a bunch of different things that you could put in this slot. You could just put heat here. That's really not going to be bad. There's a lot of options for this slot, or even if you don't like aptitude, you could really go for either of those and just like shuffle those in and out as you prefer. And the weapon is still going to be good. But yeah, that's just some considerations for it. Anyway, let's go shoot this at a bunch of guys in Steel Path. It begins. Design, whatever happened to your test, Cal? The power creep of the game got to the point where you kind of have to use a real build. Like, showing off weapons alone doesn't really work anymore. Because, like, the enemies at this level will just kill you. So I have to use, like, Nezha, Revenant, Hildren, Warframes that are just, like, you know, generally kind of invincible in order to be able to show the weapon off. Yeah, full auto shotgun, pretty good. Having a weapon with a good ammo economy that is like kind of like the Kuva Comb, pretty alright. And this you just kind of have to fire it at head level, charge it up. Oh, dead end. Really want more of a straight hallway for this. Also, part of why I don't like the like aim down sight stuff, like with the galvanized crit mod and all that, is because you generally don't really need to. Like, you'll do it to charge up, but then like you can just do this. You don't have to be too particular with you know, you can kind of just guess that there's enemies where the numbers are coming out of, and like they'll be there temporarily. Does it have any fall off? No, not really. Like, it does technically, but not at a range that matters. New Loka. God, remember when those enemies would show up and just, like, legitimately remove you from the timeline? Remember when those enemies were, like, an insane threat? Like, those motherfuckers were the TVA back in the day. I do not miss the old Leech Eximus, yeah. God. I really gotta say, one of the things I really like about this weapon is that, like, you just can, like, saturate an area with bullets, and, like, the bullet holes are very aesthetic. I know that's a dumb thing to like about this, but we're in there. I mean, who doesn't like a fully automatic shotgun rifle? It really is the long and the short of this. Like, who doesn't like... The crazy thing is that, like, this is kind of what the Boltor did back in the day. Like, the Lex... There's like a, oh, well, this isn't really a Lex anymore thing that some people have said. But no, this is like the today equivalent of what the Boltor was literally like back in the day. This is the same thing that it did do. You see, not quite as efficient as the Lex at getting rid of acolytes, but quite good nonetheless. Wanted to make sure I didn't use my armor strip there at all, so you could see the kind of exacting difference there. Morning hours of void defense with this take me back. Oh, man. Yeah, just a real... Man. Like, the only difference now is that instead of the Boltor pinning them to the wall, you just have, like, these, like, shots of, like, molten ammo hitting the wall behind them. That's really the main difference. Although before this came out, I did float the idea that, like, what if they make it so that the bodies bounce when they get bolted and they continue to hit other enemies? Which I thought would have been pretty funny. You're not dying without abilities. I'm Hildren. My Hildren build's really good. Hildren Circuit, do you use no magnetic proc arcane? I've definitely considered it. But no, I generally don't switch the build up for that. She doesn't really super seem to need it, if I'm honest. Just somewhere around head level, you know, just dump a bunch of bolts into a squad. Let's get that shit charged right up. Poor guy. And you can see it's even able to kill even whenever you are not in Incarnon mode, which is great. Like, Incarnon mode obviously is, like, the big thing here. But even in non-Incarnon mode, like, you can chew through some dudes pretty realistically well. Like, just to do it a little bit. Like, it's not bad. If you don't want to use the Incarnon mode, you really don't have to. Okay, don't put the bubble on me, though. Okay, I'm going to have to get the shields for that one. There we go. Goodbye, Malice. Got too many enemies there. Had just a little too many enemies shooting me on that one. Had to use an ability. Had to armor strip him. You know, sometimes it happens. Oh no. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, trying to show with as few abilities as possible, you know. Also, I guess for anyone watching on YouTube, yeah, the Hildren build, that's a video. That's available. You can go check that out. Would highly suggest. Let me grab all this stuff I've been missing. Get down from there. And this thing. Head level's good enough. That's really the strength of something like this over like the Paris Arcane, or not Arcane, Incarnon rather. The Paris Incarnon, like hitting the headshots is a little bit more sketchy, but with a fire rate like this, it's quite simple. Yeah, not. You can clearly tell like it's not Strun level. It's not like, it's not doing that stuff, but it's very Fenmore adjacent. And being Fenmore adjacent is very good, because that weapon is incredible. Unfortunately, this weapon will probably also not be very good against Archons, though. Like, it'll probably be decent, but because it does its damage kind of slower and not like that all-at-once big chunk with tons of multi-shot, or it doesn't have like the 2,000% buff either, it'll probably be quite a bit worse. 3,000 credits you shouldn't have. Is Lex good versus Incarnates? Versus Archons? I have not tried it. It probably is like fine. Archons have their really dumb damage nonsense, so like very few things work against them. It has to be pretty particular. There we go. This one must have reversed the flow of time. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the streamathon is going strong. Any of you on YouTube that want to come check it out, twitch.tv/Brozime. It is, we're going to be here a while. It's going to be quite a while. Expect me here the whole week. But yeah, good stuff. Yeah, very happy with the Boltor Prime. Continue to hear good things about the Bronco Prime for those of you that chose that. It seems like you shouldn't be too sad or anything like that. Those of you that did not choose the Lex, though, if you missed yesterday's video, you should go check that out. That thing is a monster. But yeah, that's going to do it. Come check it out, YouTube people. We're going to continue the Twitch stream now. Goodbye. All right, everybody. Welcome to post-Duviri month, and thank you to all of the new and returning patrons. There are a lot of them, and it is hugely appreciated for the support. But we have our $10 patrons: Alex Parnham, Arbiter Daydream, Brutus Salazar, Dylan Dworsky, Ethrain, Hafan, IQ is Thick, James Harthorne, JC4 Science, Jesse Richens, Joshua Adams, Lou Zanth, Alec X. Williams, Minty Ginja, Mitchda, Paradise, Tamrielic Wastelander, Zach Zahner, and Zerafir to thank especially. But thank you very much to all of the new patrons and everybody that has jumped on board since like Duviri in this last month. It is hugely appreciated and really helps me run the site and just like get a lot of stuff done and get a lot of guides out. This month you can expect me to hit up as many of the Incarnons as I can possibly get my hands on, because that is gonna be a big focus here as we see that new stuff, and of course work on more guides and things with the free-to-play 3 coming back around and all that. Yeah, thanks everyone.